So this is a disassembled GSP L5500PK from Gemini. Now it's one of their great party speakers. If you're looking for a pretty impressive speaker to go out and about for your backyard, for sporting events, for anything like that, you just want a really, powerful speaker that's going to have great Bluetooth, do all that kind of fun stuff. This is definitely going to be one of those speakers. Now, I've disassembled it today, and we're going to put it together in this video because I wanted to show you all the parts and how much work goes into making these new portable party speakers. I mean, this is very, very impressive. They're not all built like this. This one's exceptionally done well, and I thought it's a good example to use. Now, these are party speakers. These aren't the commercial pro series. I'm going to go out and DJ with all this equipment. You can do all that, but if you're doing stuff for fun and for free and you just want a really great speaker, once this is all put back together, it's going to be pretty awesome. So that's today's video. I'm Robin, this is Expert Isle, and this is what we do. So let's cover a bit about what's on this table right now. That's the back housing. So we'll call that the back housing unit. We've got the 15-inch driver here, which is coated with a silver spray on it, which is kind of cool. I'm going to show how that is. We also have one of the ring lights right here. There's actually only one. There's other lights, part of the speaker package, because it's a party speaker. Amp plate, which is in my hand. The main front cover, which we'll get a closer look at right here. And I also have the tweeter for the tweeter horn that's located on the unit as well. We're going to talk about some of the pieces as we go along, but it's really nice and well done. Now, if you do plan on taking apart something yourself because you want to get into it, it's always good to have it all marked out on a piece of paper so this way you can trace back what you're doing. Also, take pictures. Pictures will always save the day. So let's clear this table off a bit and get into the pieces. So the first thing we're gonna have to do is reassemble the actual speaker cover. So let's take a better look at the front side of it so we see what's going on. So over the years, these things have definitely gotten better and they look so nice now. I mean, they don't have to be this nice, but this one really, they've gone out of their way. If you notice, there's no screws anywhere to be seen on the front side. Now, traditionally, this would have just been screwed on the front. But again, they want to have this new, cleaner look to it. It's a trend that we see going on. And it's a lot of stuff that they can actually do now for the price point that they want to sell it at, that let's say 5, 6, 7 years ago, you couldn't. So that's really nice. The names have been embossed. There's actually extra LED lights, or these nice little clear acrylics that are all here. And I'll show you when I flip it around how that's all done. So here we go. Now, to screw the cover on, it's done from behind. There are screws all the way around. So the actual mesh is embedded into the plastic molding now. And then they screw and lock it in with all these screws all the way around. So this is where the whole thing gets embedded and is securely done. Now they also add, wherever they need to, extra glue to make sure everything's securely placed and fastened down. Now these bars right here that you see, this speaker happens to be the LED model. So it has light controllers inside of it. So there's LED lights on the back side. And then this is all wired together, linking everything together. Now this is all digitally controlled. So it only needs one set of cables, ribbons to control it all. And then once it gets back to the sources, which is the in out here, we're going to be able to plug the speaker into it and then be able to plug the amp control here because that's the arrow, so that direction there. So information, data is going to come in here and it's going to work its way all the way around, including the ring on the speaker. This is where our tweeter horn is going to be. Now these things are always elevated to a certain degree. So how they do this is I'm going to hold this up on an angle a bit here so you can see it. Now, this has an elevated rise to it, and that is so this way, once the actual tweeter is installed here, it lines up with the magnet on the woofer. So they're both at exactly the same position, so they're in phase with each other, and they're moving with the same distance and velocity together. That's why they do this. That's why this sounds really good for throwing some volume for a large distance at a high level. 2 ports. They're recessed, they're measured. It's all engineered now. So everything's completely engineered. Nobody's kind of figuring this out and tweaking as they go along. After coming up with an engineered idea that works, they do a sample, they bring it together, listen to it. Yes, it works. No, it doesn't. Tweak it as they need to go so they can get it where it needs to be and also keep the entire box sounding really good. Now, if you notice, there's lots of extra reinforcement everywhere inside the box. Now again, a lot of speaker companies are going to do this, and they're going to do it in their own fashion, their own style, but Gemini's got a system now that allows them to secure the entire box together and then bring the actual reinforcement so they're maximizing stiffness and rigidity in the box. This way the box sounds really good. Let's go from here and start putting it together. We got to put a tweeter on here. We got to put a woofer on here. So remember, this is the light up model. So it's going to have this ring light attached to it right here. Now, again, it's cool. We don't see the LEDs, which is nice. Again, upgrade from a lot of other ones that we've seen out there. And this is going to sit right in here. Now, it's going to have a gap, so the screws are going to be longer than we normally see. And it's important we need to line this cable up, so this way it reaches in line with what's going on. So these were all actually hot glue secured down, so they didn't actually move, but we're going to be fine with just putting this in here. We're going to line everything up, so this way it looks really good, and it's going to be easy to put together. Now, let's talk about the driver that's going to go there. So this is their 15-inch driver. Very impressive, very heavy, and things you got to understand. Gemini designs and engineers what they want to have, and then they go to these manufacturers over in China. Just the same way you see iPhones being made and everything Apple makes now, to be honest, is made that way, where, you know, their case, they send 1 or 2 guys down over time to watch this getting manufactured, tested, and assembled. But I mean, you don't have all your own factories. You rely on other companies who specialize in doing things for you. And in this case, this company manufactures the speakers. So, and they're going to be built to the specification and quality that the manufacturer, in this case Gemini, asked for. So the good and the bad and the ugly and the perfectly set up, that's all Gemini's idea. And because they want to keep their name in good standings, they go to a lot of trouble to send people over there and make sure they're watching manufacturing. And they get it right most of the time, so we're not going to complain about that. Now, very important, I got to get that in the logo facing the right way. And right now, if I did this, it would definitely be upside down. So let's spin this around and get this on the right way. So again, we got logo. Let's make sure we put our hand in the right spot. This is, my finger's going to represent top, so that's going to be right here. And there you go. And that makes a lot of sense. It's all going to line up right there. So yeah, I don't know of any manufacturers that actually legitimately own, sorry, let me stand corrected. I do know, in Canada here, Yorkville's made in Canada. All their hard box lines or wood boxes are all made here. They've just started with something made in China, but their claim to fame was made in North America, made in Canada. And there could be others. I mean, I'm sure there, you know, it has to be, but a lot of them are made third party. I mean, that's how you get so much selection and product availability out there right away. All right. So that's going to get screwed in right after we put in the tweeter. So let's get our tweeter. This is our tweeter here. Now the tweeter is designed to be serviceable, which means I can replace the diaphragm. I can unscrew it, open it up, see what size diaphragm there is in there, order a replacement, and I can put that in there. It's a push to connect, which is kind of simple and smart. It just screws on tight. That's all we're going to go for. So we're going to put this right on top here. So there we go. Tight. Okay. So now, again, push down. So once we put the back portion on, it's going to be fine. As for the driver, I'm going to say it's large, it's vented, it's got a mesh in the center to help it do all its magic. I'm not going to get into a ton of how it's built, how it's manufactured. All right, let's screw this bad boy in place. So I'm just dropping the screws in first. So this way we have an idea that we have all the screws and they're all fitting and nothing's wrong. And seeing that it's something I've taken apart, this should all go back together just fine. All right, drill. And you notice I keep working my way around it so I'm not pushing down any one spot. And there we go. Tweeters installed, woofers installed, the lights have been connected, everything's ready to go. This part is done. So now we're all set. Oh, let's get this up here and we'll see how the front is looking. Just as advertised, we got ourselves a front portion of a speaker. And here's the back half. Now the nice part is it's enclosed. The amp plate is separated from the main unit. Also, this box here, think of it like a Tesla car. It's got all these extra things in it that aren't being used. So, I mean, you do have the option for fly points. They put that on the top and on the bottom. So they don't really push that too much, but you can hang these speakers. So if you're using them in a garage or something like that and you want to hang them flying from the ceiling, you can do that. Get them out of the way. Don't worry about it. You can even pinch it back with the way the bottoms are set up. Very impressive. There's also extra placements inside for, I guess, additional equipment that's not part of this particular setup. Basically, we do have a dampening mat inside of it to help stabilize the airflow to control the sound as it's traveling around the speaker. The handles are screwed in from the sides. Very impressive. Branded and all that kind of stuff. So these two speakers get mounted together, but they do have a seam which the two speakers are going to lock together. They're going to come together and going to lock together. So this way this becomes one nice solid piece once it's all screwed together. So let's bring this back up, take a couple extra looks at the back side, see some important things. Rubber wheels set up at the bottom and pull up handle here. The handles flow inside the actual unit. So all that's out of the way inside so it doesn't interfere with the speaker or any of the wiring. So here's our amp. We're going to just run through a bit of that's the main power supply. It's all coiled and it has a bunch of break-off points for power. I was going to talk about this, to be honest. It allows it to draw a whole bunch of different voltages, plus, minus, so this way it can run everything from the amplifier to the digital processors to the preamps and all of that, all from one power supply control unit here. It is designed to run off of a 110 to 240 setup, so all that's incorporated, switchable from the outside. That's all these cables here. Then we have our 4 amp chips that are located in the back of the unit. And there's regulators on top, basically these second set of chips that measure the flow rate to make sure that everything's in check and balance, that sort of thing. Then we have the control board here, and then we have their preamp down here, and then we have our Bluetooth and lighting modules as well. So there you go. That's what's going on right there. All of that. So this big heat sink is for those 4 chips across. 2 are for the tweeter, 2 are for the woofer. They work in tandem. And then this big large heatsink does 2 things for the power supply and for all those chips across the top here. That's where all our inputs, that's why I was saying that's your control board, your preamp, all of that set up on top. Now again, I do like the fact that they went and secured all of this with a separate box. So this way we're not getting any, pushback on here. We're not getting a lot of air going through all the ports. The older model didn't have that, and that was a bit of a fuss. So that's going to get secured with 12 actual screws. So we'll get those all ready right there. And now I'll bring up the amp plate. Now there's 3 things we have to hook up. We have to hook up the woofer, we have to hook up the tweeter, and then we have to hook up the LED control lights. So let's find a way for this to sit here happy so we can do all of that. So the red and black is the main driver. We're going to put that in place here. There you go. So now the lights are plugged back in. The woofer is plugged back in. We're going to pick it up. We're going to do this one-handed, get this all plugged back in. So now we've got everything plugged back in. We're going to lay this back inside of here. Now we're going to start. We're going to secure a screw on the bottom and a screw on the top. All right, make sure the amp plate's not pinched in anywhere. And let's let it rip. We got to get all these other screws back in here. And here we are, everything's secured back in. So the only thing left to do is to get the front, connect to the back, and we'll be all set. So now we just got to lay the one half down here and then lay the second half on top of it. And so here we go. Now we got to hook everything back up. We're going to check polarity on the actual woofer. So we get this hooked up. The red is positive, black is negative. So here we go. Always going to make sure our little spades are facing upward. So this way, if I need to take it off, I can easily do that next time. Put the rubber boots back on. Then we're going to come over to here and we're going to repeat the same thing. We've got the yellow being positive. Push down the tab, get the tweeter in there. There you go. It's nice and secure. The white is negative. And then the last one to connect is this ribbon here, which needs to go all the way for the first one. This is for our lights. We'll plug that in the right way. There we go. So now light control can run all the lights, including the ring light around the speaker. And we also have our tweeter connected, and we have our woofer, everything just as it was. Now we're going to close it, line it all up. And now we'll be all set to drop all the screws around it. And here we go. All we're left to do now is put in all the screws, and there's a lot of them. 14 of them all together. They just got to lock all the way around. This is where you kind of need this extra long extension that's going to get the job done. So we're going to pre-do all of these, get them all started, and then fasten them as we go. Now this is more the longer part of the whole process. So I'm going to drop them all in. Then I'm going to carefully and slowly re-secure the entire thing together. Now remember, there's 14 of them. So there's a lot of screwing in. I got to go find those screws, make sure they're in the hole, make sure they're snug. Some are going to be very easy. Some are going to be a bit of a pain in the butt. And there we go. That was the most frustrating part of getting this whole thing together, is getting all the screws to drop in and getting them all lined up and be able to find them afterwards, because they are literally like 6 to 8 inches down the tubes. But all done. Can't complain about it. You know what I was getting into. Let's get the speaker back up. Whoa, here we go. So the good news is there's no extra screws left over. Everything's been reinstalled in the box. Everything's been plugged back together again. All that's left to do is turn the thing back on. Power cord into the speaker. Speaker's
Bluetooth
on.
pairing.
Ooh, look at that. Everything's
Bluetooth
working on that side.
connected.
Ooh, is that fast? I think that was fast. And there we go. Everything back as advertised? Yes. Does it work? Well, let's try that out. So, and there you go. The whole speaker's put right back together again. All the lights are working on it. Powered up, no problem. Easy as can be. And doesn't work? Let's give it a try. And ooh, we've got music coming out of the speaker. Woofer's playing and the tweeter. So there you go. If you'd like to see a full review on the speaker, including sound test and all that kind of stuff, by all means, hit the video at the end of this video. That's going to be the next one coming up for you. That would be the video you're looking for if you want to see the full review for this speaker. Again, if you'd like to see more videos like this, by all means, leave that stuff in the comments down below. If you got any questions, stuff like that about how this video was done or whatever you want to talk about, the comments, it's for you. And don't forget, if you haven't subscribed, by all means, that subscription button is coming up here any minute. Hit that button. You'll be all set for next time. Like I say, thanks for watching. Bye for now.